I'm really excited for tonight's lesson. I felt like me and maybe some of you needed some encouragement this week. This lesson was on my heart, so I know it's for someone, and if it's not for any of you, it's at least for me. So I had to draw this because there wasn't a line that did what I wanted it to, so excuse the really poorly drawn line here. But glance over at this image I made and tell me, or just think in your head for a moment. You can drop in the chats if you want. Well, what does this image mean to you? Just in your head, in the chats. What's your first impression when you look at this? The lesson I want to talk about tonight is the fact that life seems to get harder before it gets better. Ups and downs, hills and valleys, right? It seems like every time you want to do something for your own good or that of your family, that life gets really hard. Or maybe the world seems like it's against you, right? It's hard to make the change in the first place, right? Like changing the way you manage your stress for the better, changing the way you eat, changing the way you exercise. These things are good for us. So why are they difficult, right? There's that. And then there's maybe resistance from family or friends or coworkers, which is just this weird, mysterious thing, right? Like the people who are meant to support you sometimes are the ones that get in the way the most, right? And then random events in your life sometimes just pop up with the perfect timing right when you get started, right? Maybe you have to change your job. Maybe you have a family member who gets sick and needs your help. Maybe your kids who were perfect angels turned into crazy people and now you have to go to school and talk to the police. Like whatever. It seems like the whole world's against us sometimes right when we want to make a significant change to our life. So you might wonder why, like me. Right? Why? It can't all be connected, can it? Well, I think it is, right? Change means to alter or modify something. So you're essentially ripping apart something, maybe your life or your health or your routine, to put it back together in a new way. So why do we get so surprised when we set out to make a change, whether it's big or small, and then we're met with things like a lack of organization or resistance or pushback, right? Or obstacles or conflicts or just the universe plotting against you, right? It's because you're ripping up something first. And I'm not necessarily here to answer why. It's just a part of life. It's going to happen. It's going to keep happening. It's the nature of change. But I think it makes our journey a whole lot easier when we have a visual of what we're going through, so we can have a better chance of persevering, right? So if you're looking at the picture, maybe you feel like you're this first little happy camper at this tiny little hill, right? Maybe your first hilltop is just okay health or poor health, or you're really suffering. Let me let Valia in. Or maybe you're really suffering, right? Whatever it is, you're unsatisfied with where you're currently at. So you start looking around and maybe you see a higher hilltop in the distance, right? And that hilltop promises better health, more energy, a body that you're really proud of, health that makes you feel good. So you declare you're going to leave your little hilltop and you're going to go pursue the other higher hilltop, right? You're going to go for that other pursuit and get those better things. But if you look at the image, what happens between you and the next hilltop? A valley, right? When you look at the picture, the moment you declare that you're going to do something for your good, you do not go straight up. You go immediately down, right? You have to leave the hill first, which means you're going downhill, which is not fun. It might be fun on a bike, but it's not fun when it's our life, right? So you're inserting yourself into discomfort first. You're inserting yourself into frustrations and just difficulties, right? And guess what happens if you keep going? That flattens out, it's hot, you're in pain, it feels long, you're tempted to turn back, it might be really dark. You might be facing and overcoming things you never thought you'd have to. You might be facing and being called to overcome things you never even thought were related to what you're pursuing. But if you stay there, all you're going to get is more of that. If you turn back, all you're going to get is more of what you were already sick of. So what happens if you keep going? If you keep going, you will eventually start to walk uphill, which in this image is a great thing. This is when you start to reap the benefits of overcoming those difficulties. Maybe the character you developed allows you to take on more. You start to reap the benefits of everything you were pursuing, and you start to climb the next hilltop filled with good things and fruit and new wins, right? So I love the word perseverance. It means to continue on despite any difficulty or any delay in whatever timeline you have going on in your head. It represents the effort required to do something and keep doing it for as long as it takes, whatever it takes, until the end, no matter how hard. And the Bible defines it as to hold firmly and steadily to some purpose or state or undertaking despite obstacles or setbacks. So if you and I choose to persevere through all of our valleys, we'll reach new heights. And we'll get a treasure that most people don't, which is seeing an even higher hilltop in the future. It's a mountaintop you couldn't have even seen before had you not taken this first adventure. You thought this middle goal was all you wanted, and you'll see something higher. And you might have 40 mountaintops to climb in your lifetime. You might have 100. Really, the sky's the limit when it comes to all that you're personally meant to accomplish in this life. But nobody knows if you're settling but you. And one thing's for certain, the hilltop that you're currently standing on is probably not the highest one. It might be the most comfortable, but it might not be where you belong. So if you can see a higher hilltop in your future in the distance, that's a blessing. So start walking. But expect difficulty to take place as soon as you do. Embrace it and know if you don't quit, if you keep persevering, that eventually you will start to climb upwards, you will start to reap benefits, and you will reach that next hilltop, and you will see the next one beyond that. And it's going to be so fulfilling that you're hardly going to remember all that you had to endure in the valleys. And all you'll have to show for those valleys is the character you developed between the mountaintops. And anytime you get overwhelmed or discouraged, just look back at all the valleys that you've already made it through and keep going. Thank you so much for watching. We truly hope you enjoyed that lesson. So every single week we make room for one guest spot on these support calls. So if you'd like the opportunity to attend, ask questions, receive coaching, just hit the link in the description box, or you can head over to gainslinger.com/coach me. Once again, that's Gainslinger, GAINSLINGER.com/coach me. All one word. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you next week.